Empress of Paradox. Can a ruler be both enlightened and ruthless? History remembers Catherine the Great as a woman of contradictions. Born as a minor German princess, she rose to become one of the most powerful women in history. Her reign over Russia is a subject of endless fascination and debate. Was she an enlightened monarch who dragged Russia into the modern age? Catherine was a patron of the arts and education, founding the Smolny Institute for Noble Maidens, the first state-financed higher education institution for women in Europe. She also established the Hermitage Museum, which remains one of the most significant art museums in the world, or a ruthless tyrant who tightened the chains of serfdom. Despite her enlightened ideals, Catherine's policies often favored the nobility at the expense of the serfs. Her reign saw the Pugachev Rebellion, a massive peasant uprising that she brutally suppressed, further entrenching the system of serfdom. The answer, like most things in history, is complicated. Catherine's reign was marked by significant territorial expansion, adding Crimea, Belarus, and parts of Poland to the Russian Empire. These conquests came at a high human cost, often involving ruthless military campaigns. Catherine's reign was a tapestry woven with threads of brilliance and brutality. She was a prolific writer, penning plays, memoirs, and even a manual on education. Yet her personal life was equally complex, filled with numerous lovers and political intrigues. She championed education and the arts while expanding her empire through ruthless military campaigns. Her efforts to modernize Russia included the introduction of the nakaz, a legal code inspired by Enlightenment principles, though it was never fully implemented. She corresponded with Voltaire and Diderot, embracing Enlightenment ideals, yet crushed peasant revolts with an iron fist. Her letters to these philosophers reveal a ruler deeply engaged with contemporary intellectual currents, yet her actions often contradicted her professed beliefs. How can we reconcile these two sides of Catherine the Great? Was she a visionary leader who sought to bring Russia into the modern world, or a cunning autocrat who used the veneer of enlightenment to consolidate her power? Was she a product of her time, a ruler forced to make difficult choices in a world defined by power struggles and social inequality? The 18th century was an era of great change and upheaval, and Catherine navigated these challenges with a blend of diplomacy and force. Or was she a master manipulator, cleverly crafting an image of enlightenment to mask a heart consumed by ambition? Her political acumen was undeniable, as she skillfully played the European powers against each other to Russia's advantage. Join us as we delve into the life and reign of this enigmatic empress. We'll examine her policies, her personal relationships, and the lasting impact of her rule on Russia and the world. We'll explore her triumphs and tragedies, her brilliance and her flaws. From her ambitious reforms to her ruthless suppression of dissent, Catherine's legacy is a study in contrasts. Prepare to be amazed, shocked, and ultimately challenged to confront the complexities of power and legacy. Catherine the Great's story is not just a tale of one woman, but a reflection of the broader human experience, where the lines between good and evil, enlightenment and tyranny, are often blurred. A German princess on the Russian throne, Catherine's ascent to power. Catherine the Great wasn't born great, nor Russian for that matter. She was born as Sophie of Anhalt-Zerbst, a minor German princess with little prospect of greatness. Her early life was marked by the typical upbringing of European nobility, filled with lessons in etiquette, languages, and the arts. Little did anyone know that this young girl would one day become one of the most powerful women in history. At the tender age of 15, Sophie was sent to Russia to marry the heir to the Russian throne, Peter III. This was a strategic alliance, orchestrated by her ambitious mother and the Russian Empress Elizabeth. The journey from Anhalt-Zerbst to Russia was long and arduous, but Sophie was determined to make the best of her new life. Upon her arrival, she was thrust into the opulent and often treacherous world of the Russian court. Ambitious and intelligent, Sophie quickly adapted to her new environment. She mastered the Russian language with remarkable speed, a feat that endeared her to the Russian people. She also converted to Orthodox Christianity, taking the name Catherine. This was not just a superficial change. Catherine embraced her new faith with genuine devotion, further solidifying her position in her adopted country. Her husband Peter, on the other hand, remained aloof and disconnected from Russian culture and politics. Peter III, to put it mildly, was unfit to rule. He was more interested in playing with toy soldiers and indulging his whims with his Prussian mistress than in governing the vast Russian Empire. His lack of interest in state affairs and his erratic behavior made him deeply unpopular among the Russian nobility and the military. This created a power vacuum that Catherine was quick to recognize and exploit. While Peter squandered his time, Catherine immersed herself in the intellectual and political life of the court. She engaged in discussions with leading thinkers and philosophers of the time, drawing inspiration from the Enlightenment. Her wit, intelligence, and charm captivated the court, earning her the respect and admiration of many influential figures. Catherine's growing influence and her keen understanding of politics set the stage for her eventual rise to power. The stage was set for a dramatic power grab. When Peter ascended the throne, his incompetence became even more apparent. Catherine seized her chance, carefully planning a coup with the support of key allies. She forged alliances with powerful nobles and secured the loyalty of the military, ensuring that her plan would succeed. The coup was executed with precision, and Peter was swiftly overthrown in a bloodless takeover. With the support of the military and powerful nobles, Catherine overthrew her husband in a bloodless coup. The transition of power was remarkably smooth, a testament to Catherine's careful planning and the widespread discontent with Peter's rule. The coup was not just a personal victory for Catherine, it was a turning point for Russia, marking the beginning of a new era of enlightened rule. Peter didn't last long after that. His untimely demise remains shrouded in mystery to this day. Some say he was murdered, while others believe he died of natural causes. Regardless of the circumstances, his death removed the last obstacle to Catherine's complete control over the Russian throne. With Peter out of the picture, Catherine was free to implement her vision for Russia. With her enemies vanquished, Catherine, the former German princess, became Catherine the Great, Empress of all the Russias. Her reign would be marked by significant reforms, territorial expansion, and a flourishing of the arts and sciences. Catherine's ascent to power was not just a personal triumph, it was the beginning of a transformative era for Russia, one that would leave a lasting legacy on the world stage. An empire expanded, Catherine's military prowess and territorial ambitions. Catherine the Great understood that power, like real estate, is all about location, location, location. She inherited a vast but somewhat backward empire, and she was determined to expand its borders and secure its place as a dominant force in Europe. Under her reign, Russia's borders pushed south towards the Black Sea, swallowing up Crimea and parts of the Ottoman Empire. To the west, she gobbled up a large chunk of Poland in a series of partitions that would make even the most seasoned real estate tycoon blush. Catherine's military campaigns weren't always pretty. Her armies were known for their ruthlessness, and she wasn't afraid to play dirty in the game of international politics, but there's no denying her success. By the end of her reign, Russia was a force to be reckoned with. Its territory vastly expanded and its influence felt across Europe. Section 4. The Dawn of Enlightenment in Russia. Catherine as a patron of education and culture. Catherine the Great wasn't all about brute force and territorial conquests. She fancied herself an enlightened monarch, a friend of philosophers and a champion of progress. She devoured the works of Voltaire and Diderot, corresponded with them regularly, imagined the postage bills, and even invited them to her court, though they politely declined, perhaps fearing the long Russian winters. Inspired by Enlightenment ideals, Catherine embarked on an ambitious program of reforms aimed at modernizing Russia. She founded schools and universities, established the country's first public library, and supported the development of Russian literature and art. She even drafted a new legal code, though it was never fully implemented. Catherine's efforts to promote education and culture were truly remarkable. She understood that a modern, powerful nation needed more than just a strong military. It needed an educated citizenry and a vibrant cultural life. Section 5. The Shadow of Serfdom, the Dark Side of Catherine's Reign. Here's where things get a little awkward. Catherine the Great, often celebrated for her enlightened policies and cultural advancements, had a much darker side to her reign that is often glossed over in the history books. For all her talk of enlightenment and progress, Catherine the Great presided over a system that treated millions of Russians as little more than property. The serfs, who made up the majority of the Russian population, lived under brutal conditions, toiling endlessly for the benefit of the aristocracy. Serfdom, a form of feudalism that bound peasants to the land and their aristocratic masters, was deeply entrenched in Russian society. These serfs had no personal freedom and were often subjected to harsh treatment and severe punishments. And guess what? Catherine actually strengthened it during her reign. Despite her enlightened image, she issued decrees that further restricted the freedoms of the serfs, making their lives even more difficult. Why did Catherine, the supposed enlightened monarch, uphold such an unjust system? The answer lies in the complex interplay of power, politics, and pragmatism. Well, pragmatism often trumps idealism, especially in the world of politics. Catherine understood that her power was not absolute and that she needed the support of the Russian nobility to maintain her throne. The Russian nobility, her power base, relied on serf labor to maintain their wealth and status. These aristocrats owned vast estates and depended on the serfs to work the land and generate income. Catherine, always the shrewd politician, knew that alienating the nobility would jeopardize her throne. She needed their loyalty and support to implement her policies and maintain stability in the empire. So she made a devil's bargain. She turned a blind eye to the plight of the serfs in exchange for the support of the elites. This decision allowed her to pursue her other reforms and maintain her grip on power, but it came at a great human cost. It was a decision that would cast a long shadow over her reign and contribute to Russia's social and political turmoil in the centuries to come. The legacy of serfdom would haunt Russia, leading to unrest, revolts, and eventually, the sweeping changes brought about by the Russian Revolution. Catherine's reign, while marked by significant achievements, also serves as a stark reminder of the complexities and contradictions of power.